What is up, you amazing people? It is I, Nima. I have a favor to ask of you. If you could, down in the comment section below, put your favorite action-adventure game, series, games. I don't care, I'm not picky. I'm just curious what your list is and what makes your list. Now, I've got 10 here that I'm going to talk about. They're no particular order, just like the RPG top 10, no real order. And if you do like video game content, please think about hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already, and please hit the like button if you like the video. Now, there's a couple games in here that didn't make my top 10, but probably definitely deserve to be in many people's top 10s. Now, the only reason why it's not in my top 10 is because I haven't played them or I haven't got very far in them. And those two games specifically are Hades and Hollow Knight. Both games that I have no doubt are amazing, but I suck and I just haven't gotten that far in those two games. Anyway, to kick things off, I have to go kind of retro, old school to an extent, and I gotta go with Donkey Kong Country Freeze. Now, this game, I understand, was made on the Wii U first, but my experience came through the Switch, and it was one of my favorite games playing in the infancy of my Switch ownership. But I thought, we're gonna get many more games like this in the future, and to be honest, we really haven't. So as time's gone by, I've realized just how great this game was. I've even went back and played it a couple more times. There's just so few games that really capture that kind of Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country 2D side-scroll experience that this game really does. It's action-packed, it's fun, you have all the characters, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of difficulty and a lot of challenge to it. This game had to be in my top 10, and I really hope we get a new one soon. So, staying in that kind of old-school Nintendo life, I have to say that Metroid Dread has also got to be in my top 10. Now, this is a game that I haven't beaten yet, and I understand it's only like 7 to 8 hours, which would probably be fine for a lot of people that don't get lost, but I get lost in these games like crazy. And in fact, I've played this game probably twice from the beginning, and both times I got lost, and so I'm about to start my third. And just what I've played, even though being annoyed by getting lost, I love it. It's a beautiful game, the controls are amazing, and it's definitely got me into wanting to experience more of the Metroid world. And again, this is a series that I never really played, so for this one game and probably 4 or 5 hours that I've played to really suck me in like that speaks volumes for how great the game is. While we're talking about retro Nintendo, I'll just say the next game on my list is Mario Odyssey. Now, I get it. It's not Mario, retro Mario, but it's still Mario. It's old school Nintendo. But Odyssey, it's an amazing game. Now, I went for the longest time without playing a Mario game. I think between Super Nintendo Mario and Odyssey. So there's a lot of games in there that I missed. And when I started playing Odyssey, I realized this wasn't just some dumb kid's game. This game's a lot of fun. The game looked really good. I appreciate all the challenge and collecting things. The bosses were really cool, even though they were a little kind of silly at times, but they were still cool. And, obviously New Donk City just looked amazing. And it made me realize, I think I missed out on a lot of really good Mario games. And sure enough, I went back and have been playing a lot of them and just realized how much that series grew over time. And it's not that same Mario 3 that I remember from back in the day. So it was important to me to try to get in some indie games and some games that I really do appreciate but maybe aren't very well known. And so I'm going to, go in that direction with Imp Up The Sun. Now, I really loved Imp Up The Sun. I love so much about the story it tells and the culture that it in some ways shows appreciation for, which is a little bit of my culture, to be honest, but it was more than that. The controls of this game were awesome, a lot of the movement, the combat. This is a game that really made me start playing Metroid, because I never was good at any of these games, and so I just wouldn't try that kind of Metroidvania style game. I'm not even gonna play it, I'm not good at them, but I actually beat this game, and I had so much fun playing it. It was so addictive, and aside from just being beautiful and having a great soundtrack, it also broadened my horizons and opened up this new type of game to me as the Metroidvania games, and I've found quite a few since then that have been a lot of fun. So I really have Imp of the Sun to thank for that, and their creators, such cool guys. It's an indie game, it's definitely worth your time. Staying in indie world, I gotta talk about a game that I think a lot of people are gonna disagree that it is an action-adventure game, but I think we're splitting hairs. Eastward, which could arguably be called an RPG, and I get that, but when you look at it, most of the combat is action adventure. Yeah, it does deal with like story, but so does every one of these other games. Like Mario doesn't just jump from, platform to platform for no reason. There is a reason behind it. Yes, Eastward is really rich in story and complex in story, so that does make it a little bit more, but so are like your interactive novels, but we don't call them RPGs. So anyway, Eastward is a very creative, unique game. I absolutely love like your environment. I love the characters. The relationship between Sam and John is just, I don't know, it's something to behold. It's wonderful. Now, this game though is one that, it'll get you right in the feels, and you really care about these characters. They're important to you, and you really get to know them through the game. But this game is also action-packed, and the fact that it has some of the best boss fights I've played. It also has some great puzzles, which is a thing for me. I really enjoy that kind of style of puzzle, and it has some great dungeons, just some great biomes. It's a fantastic game. Tricklefish really, like always, brought it. Now, staying there with that indie style game, I want to talk about Children of Morta. Now, this is another game that I think some people would say, oh, it's a roguelike. Well, yeah, it is, but roguelike is also action adventure, right? It has a story, it's got the combat, we've been through this all. But Children of Morta is really cool. It's about this family who's sort of cursed with like quelling back this evil, and so you have to go down into like this tomb. It's almost like a dimensional thing. To be honest, I can't remember the exact story. It's been a long time since I've played it, and if I'm honest, the story it's cool, but it's not like the most important part of the game. Like the whole thing following the family and this like tie-in with these like evil beings that you have to end up beating, and that's why you go through all these like portals and you shut down all these dimensions by killing these big bosses and everything. Like that's all really, really cool. But the thing that I think a lot of people enjoy about this game is the combat and the different characters, as you get to play through each different family member and their different strengths. Like the son is like a kind of a ninja character. The dad is more of like a tank, if you will. The daughter is a magic user. One of the little kids is like an archer, and you just really get to use each one of these characters to really work well with you. And it was one of those games that I just kept playing as different characters and kept expanding, almost like a Diablo 3, where there's a story and it's pretty interesting, but ultimately what really just like keeps you coming back is that awesome combat and looking for loot and trying to upgrade your characters and all of that. And it's just a really good game. Now, next is a game that ultimately changed me. It gave me strength. It gave me courage. And that game is Death's Door. I love Death's Door. And Death's Door was one of those games everyone's like, this is really hard. It's a lot like a Souls-like / roguelike. But there was enough people who said, oh yeah, but there's some like Legend of Zelda aspects to it. So that made me give it a go. And needless to say, I beat it and I had so much fun playing it. Even the difficulty wasn't what I would consider just like cheap. No, I lost because I didn't do the right things. If that makes any sense. Like, the difficulty was fair and balanced. So, I had a lot of fun playing it. Not to mention just the Crow in general. He's a great character. You watch him, like, do some kind of random stuff, or, like, when he eats, it's hilarious. I also appreciate, like, unlocking different collectibles, different weapons, and how they actually respond and how you can use them, as well as upgrading the character in general. Now, the environment and your enemies and your bosses, that's really what this game is about. It's so kind of creepy. It's got like a little bit of like I don't know if I'd say Lovecraftian, but some definite like gothic style to it, as well as just a really interesting deep story that at the end of it you fully understand, and it does kind of hit you in a way that you probably didn't see it coming. It's a great game though. I absolutely love Death's Door. It was like one of my games of the year potentials. So yeah, absolutely love it. On to my games of the year, and arguably some of my favorite games. Last year's game of the year, Monster Hunter Rise. I absolutely love this game. There's not enough I can say about this game. It's so much fun. It's so engaging. I love taking on these massive monsters. I love upgrading my character, collecting weapons, having your attire customized and built up, and the whole world of Monster Hunter Rise. I mean, if you don't know about it now, I don't know what you're doing. This game is just fantastic. I absolutely love it. And it had to be in my list. If not, then why would I have given it Game of the Year last year? So, to round things up, we got two more left. It's hard to say, like both of them I would consider really, really high up there in like my top games in general. So I'll just start off with Astral Chain. Astral Chain, there again, this is arguably an RPG. A lot of people are going to say, oh, it's an action RPG, and I'll grant you that. It probably is. But again, we've had this, like, what is an RPG? What's an action RPG? Blah, blah, blah. We're just going to call this an action-adventure game. But you start off as siblings, and you can choose one or the other, the boy or the girl, and you're working with your dad. And you kind of work in this, like, weird, I want to say, cyberpunk-esque world where you're trying to quell demons and trying to stop them, as you have an ability to be able to do that, and you can actually use demons to help you fight and defeat other demons. Some really bad stuff goes down with your dad and a lot of the other teammates that you had, and so you're the one who's now left the only person that has like your own like demon on a leash that you can use. And there's a lot more to the story as it goes on, and you do really care about it, and you really do find yourself not only looking forward to just finding new demons to help get different abilities and whatever, but to also uncover the story as well. Not to mention, this is one of those games on the Switch that as you're walking around through the city and talking to people, you forget that you're playing on a Switch. Like, it really does feel like a full AAA title where it's limitless in your abilities, and just the graphics, the whole art style in general, I think is great. This game is fantastic. If you've never heard of it or never played it, you definitely got to give it a shot. It'll grow on you. Like, it's one of those games, at least for me, like the first hour I wasn't sure about, but after then I absolutely fell in love with this game. This is one of those games that I had to make sure I went out and found a physical copy of because it's just that good. Now, finally, the last one on this list, and arguably probably my number one, let's be honest, it's gotta be Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because why not? Because it's Legend of Zelda, because it is the longest Legend of Zelda. See, a lot of it for me is just how much Zelda time can I get in. And since this game can go on for 80 to 100 to 200 hours, well, it's gotta be like my top game, because whatever I can do to maximize Zelda time, it's worth it to me. Now, I understand this game does have some ups and downs to it. A lot of people complain about the fact that it seems empty to them. To me, it never really felt that way, but I get it. I understand that. And I know a lot of people say they miss the traditional temple style, dungeon crawlers instead of just like this shrine thing. But I actually really enjoyed the shrine aspect, and I really did appreciate a lot of the puzzles in there as well. Now, again, this is a game that I would prefer there to be more mini bosses and that kind of traditional Zelda style as far as like just bigger enemies. But the Guardians are really cool too, and those fights are some of the most difficult, to be honest. Ultimately, there's like nothing you can't say about this game. There's people still finding tricks and stuff to this day, and ultimately, this is just one of the greatest games ever made, in my opinion. And yeah, again, I love The Legend of Zelda, so of course I'm gonna say that. But anyway, guys, let me know what your action-adventure games are down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. I would definitely appreciate you. But like always, guys, I'm wishing you health, wealth, and above all, I hope you're truly happy, because you guys make me happy. Take care, everyone.